All right, let's just get right into it. If you've been on X, what used to be Twitter, or YouTube lately, you've probably seen this one statistic about AI getting passed around. It's a huge, scary number, and honestly, it's being used to paint a pretty dark picture of the whole AI scene.
Yep, there it is, 95%. I mean, you see that number and it just stops you in your tracks, right? This is what a lot of the AI influencers are blasting out there. They're claiming this is the failure rate of AI projects. It's a shocking figure, and it's totally designed to grab your attention, to make you second-guess everything you've been hearing about this big AI revolution.
And the story they're trying to sell is super simple. That this 95% failure rate, well, that's all the proof you need that AI is just a big scam. A bunch of overhyped vaporware that just doesn't deliver in the real world. But is that what's really going on here? And that is the real question we're going to dig into. Because here's the thing. When you actually go back and look at the original MIT study where this stat came from, a completely different story starts to unfold. And frankly, it's a way more interesting one. So what if this huge number isn't a red flag at all? What if it's actually a green light?
Okay, so to really get our heads around that 95% number, we can't just stare at the technology itself. Nope, we have to look at who is building these projects that are failing. And that right there is where the whole popular narrative just completely falls apart.
So check this out. What the original study actually found is pretty crucial. Look at this chart. A full 2/3 of the projects they looked at were built either in-house by the company itself or by some big consultant they brought in. Only about 1/3 came from actual startups. And here's the kicker. That huge failure rate, it was almost entirely coming from that first group. The startups, well, they were succeeding way more often.
So, this is the main takeaway, the absolute heart of the matter. We are not looking at an AI problem here. We're looking at a software problem. I mean, the simple, honest-to-God truth is that most software built by huge organizations and their consultants, it's just not very good. And that's been true for decades, long before generative AI was ever making headlines.
So why? Why are these huge companies, these enterprises, so bad at this? I mean, it's not like they're short on cash or smart people, right? Well, it turns out it's this predictable pattern of, let's call them systemic issues, that just creates the absolute perfect storm for failure. Let's break down this whole comedy of errors.
Okay, this is hands down my favorite example from the source material, because it's just so painfully true for all of us. Just think about it for a second. Apple, a company with basically infinite resources, right? Access to the best talent on the planet. And yet, they cannot make a good calendar app. The calendar on your iPhone, something you probably look at every single day, is still kind of buggy and weird. Now, if Apple can't even perfect a simple calendar, how in the world can we expect a typical company's internal IT department to build a revolutionary, cutting-edge AI system from the ground up?
And this slide just perfectly captures that perfect storm I was talking about. You've got the 4 horsemen of enterprise failure. First, you've got the internal politics, the turf wars, classic stuff. Then you have the engineering teams themselves, who are often really skeptical of all this new AI tech. Then you bring in these super expensive consultants who, let's be honest, are way better at playing politics than building great products. And finally, you have the old-school legacy software vendors just trying to slap an AI sticker on their ancient products. I mean, come on, it's a complete recipe for disaster.
And all of that, it all leads to this classic corporate outcome, the horse designed by a committee, which of course ends up looking like a camel. The final product isn't designed to be excellent. It's not designed to solve a user's problem in the best way possible. No, it's a clumsy, awkward compromise built specifically to make the data science team happy, and the customer support team happy, and the IT team, and oh yeah, those 3 different VPs who all have an opinion. The actual product vision just gets totally lost in all the political back and forth.
So these big companies are totally stuck between a rock and a hard place. They can go with a huge consultant like an Ernst & Young who'll probably spend the year and millions of dollars trying to build a custom solution and then fail. Or they can go with their legacy software vendor, the guys they already trust. But their shiny new AI feature is just a flimsy, slapped-on addition that doesn't really work. Either way they go, they often end up as part of that 95% failure rate.
But this is exactly where the big opportunity opens up. This systemic failure creates what you could call a startup-shaped hole in the market. So let's flip this around and look at the playbook for how a small, focused startup can actually win where these giants consistently, predictably fail.
And the playbook is surprisingly clear.
First things first, you've got to find your champion inside the company. That one person who gets it, who believes in you, and is willing to stick their neck out for you. Second, you do the things that don't scale at first. You literally embed your team deep inside their workflow to truly understand their problem, inside and out. Third, you use that champion to help you navigate the, let's call it the inevitable internal politics. And finally, and this is the most important part, you just deliver a product that is flat out, undeniably better than anything they could ever build themselves or buy from their old vendors.
Yeah, this table really just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, enterprises are stuck with skeptical teams and processes driven by politics. But on the other, you've got startups who are AI native, they're optimistic, they're often run by what the source calls polymath founders, people who are great at product and engineering and sales. They're not there to mediate politics, they're there to embed with the customer. And the result? It's not some clumsy camel, it's just pure product excellence.
And this isn't just theory. We've got real-world examples. Take a startup called Greenlight, which sells AI to banks. A huge bank initially told them no thanks, deciding to go with the trusted, big-name consultant, Ernst & Young. Well, fast forward a year, the EY project had completely crashed and burned. So the bank came crawling back to Greenlight, who came in and successfully deployed their system. Boom!
Or how about Reduct? They build AI for processing documents. They ended up in a head-to-head competition against the internal engineering team at a massive tech giant. We're talking one of the big FANG companies. That internal team had been banging their heads against this problem for years. Reduct, with its just plain better product, won the deal and went live. It just goes to show you, true product excellence can beat even the most well-resourced internal teams on their own turf.
And let's do one more. Castle AI, which is building an AI mortgage servicer. They are constantly going up against these incumbents, decades-old vendors who are now scrambling to add AI to their creaky old systems. But it doesn't take long for the customers to realize that the old solution is just, AI slapped on top. And the AI native, thoughtfully built product from Castle AI wins the day. So after all that, what's the big takeaway here? That scary statistic from the beginning, it's not a sign that AI itself is failing, not at all. It's a sign that enterprises are failing, and they are desperately, desperately looking for help. And here's exactly why this opportunity is so huge. This is a direct quote from a CIO at a multi-billion-dollar financial services firm. He said, "Once we've invested time in training a system, the switching costs will become prohibitive. That's the moat." They know this. They know that once they pick a solution and weave it deep into their business, it is incredibly painful to rip it out and switch. That is the moat. And for a startup, getting in there early and becoming that embedded solution, well, that creates a crazy durable long-term advantage. So let's just completely reframe how we think about this. That 95% number, it is not a warning sign for founders to stay away. It's a giant flashing help wanted sign hanging over the entire enterprise world. I mean, they've got the problem, they've got the budget, and their old ways of solving it are fundamentally broken. They need you.
So I'm going to leave you with this one thought. Your real competition out there, it's not always another brilliant startup. For so many of these huge enterprise deals, the real competition is some internal team that doesn't even believe in the tech, or a big consultant that can't actually build the thing. So if 95% of that competition is pretty much doomed to fail from the start, what could your startup achieve?